All right, welcome to another episode of Toronto Creative Podcast, where we talk to creative people, build a community, and help each other out. We got a very special guest today. I've been trying to get Kwasi on this podcast for a while now. We didn't get a chance to connect because of schedule conflicts, but I'm happy today Kwasi is here. And Kwasi is a dancer by trade, but I know he does a lot more things. He's a teacher as well. He's a videographer as well. So we're going to be talking about all of that and how he's navigating through the artistic community in Toronto. So Kwasi, thanks for joining us today, brother.
Hello.
Is this your first podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny. I watch a lot of podcasts. I'm like, I wonder how I would be on one.
Well, there you go. Today you'll find out.
And I'm socially awkward, so it's okay.
It's so funny. So you said you're socially awkward. I guess we can start with that question. But you are a dancer, a choreographer, and a performer. Somebody who's not in the art industry, the first question they would ask, how can somebody who's shy be a performer and a dancer?
It's possible because sometimes you just play a character. Like when I was younger, I didn't talk to nobody at all. Like I would just stare at you. You ask me a question. It's like even when people would be like, oh, what's your name? Like how they would respond back to me because they would never pronounce it right. I would just be like, yeah, that's how you say it. Because I was like, I never had the confidence to really like speak to people or do anything. So dance kind of opened that gateway for me to kind of be something that I'm not normally am. It gave me the confidence to be like, okay, I can act the way I act because, it allows me in this space. So it's interesting because like when I always walk into a class and I say, hello, everyone, my name is Kwasi, and I'm socially awkward to kind of like break the ice because there's always that awkward tension in the very beginning that I hate so much. I hate introducing myself. But then it's like as we keep going and like we're moving and we're dancing, you start to see like personality come out more. And then that kind of takes the shyness away and it just allows you to be like the purest of who you actually are, in my opinion. Nice.
No, that's very deep. A couple of things to unpack here, actually many things. How old were you when you first started dancing?
It's hard to say because I feel like I was always dancing as a kid, just like mimicking what you see on TV.
So what would you see on TV?
You see like the whole BET music videos, like all the whole dance sequences. And I think when You Got Served came out, I was like, 7, 8? And my brother, he liked to dance. He'd do all the crumping and his friends were into break dancing. So like, I don't know, there's like a vivid memory of me like learning how to do a 6-step and like showing his friends. They're like, oh, you're so cool. And like, I'm like thinking I'm this cool little kid. And then whenever we had like dance classes at school, like little like one session type things, I would always be the one like so engaged and like learning how to do the wave and like just doing all of that. And then like it just became a passion unconsciously. Like I never took classes or anything. And then you have the whole like teach me how to jerk, teach me how to Dougie, wave, crank that soldier, crank that Superman. And then
crack the Superman?
Crank that.
Oh, I don't know what that movie. Soldier Boy. Oh yeah.
And then it's just like, you just start to learn a lot from online. And because people ask me these questions, and I remember like one vivid thing of like, there was this routine my friend sent me online because he was learning it. And he's not a dancer. He's just someone who likes to dance at that time. And I was watching the video like crazy. So much.
Like repeat? Like
on repeat?
Yeah.
On repeat. And I would learn it and we would do it outside together. And like our school had like these variety shows. So we'd always have to put on like a dance piece to showcase the class. And like sometimes I would be given the opportunity to actually choreograph and like teach
performance.
Perform and teach the other students the routines.
Okay.
We had ballroom and all that stuff, so it's like I was really engaged. And then when Step Up 3 came out, my mind kind of just exploded because I'm like, yo, I've never seen any kind of dance movie like this. Like number 2 came out, number 1 never watched it, didn't know they existed. Number 3 came out and I was like, yo, this guy Moose, who's like one of the main characters, is like top notch, amazing. And at that point, I was like, I want to actually start dancing.
And how old were you when this happened?
I was like,
when did Step Up 3 come up?
I think I was like 13 years old.
So at 13, you decided you wanted to be a dancer.
I wanted to be a dancer.
And how did you break this news to your parents?
It's not really like you break the news to your parents. It's just like you're just dancing. Like you're in elementary school, so you're not really thinking so
But like
much.
what about after when you're close to finishing high school?
It was never like the sense of like actually like telling like, oh, I want to specifically be a dancer. I just had a passion for it to the point where like I feel like they just knew like dance was something that I really enjoyed. But obviously, like when you have parents that come from a different like country, they're not gonna see the value of it because it's not a conventional like doctor lawyer type thing.
Yeah.
And because my cousin also danced as well, you know, I would always follow him around the city. You know, he would take me to World of Dance. He would take me to a lot of the competitions that were in the city around there. So it was never really like, oh, I had to break the news. It's like, I like to dance.
I'm doing it.
I'm doing it. If there's a class, I want to go to the class. If there's a workshop, I'm going to the workshop. If my cousin is dancing, I want to go be around him and what he's doing. But when my siblings, my older sisters would be like, you know, what do you want to do? And I would always say like, I like dancing. And, you know, they would support me in that aspect, but also say like, okay, if you're going to university, like go for something, not dance, but go for like something else. I went to school for kinesiology. And like, I wanted to be able to apply what I learned from kinesiology with dance. Mm-hmm. So it kind of made it easier to not just necessarily just go into it. But I did go to arts high school too. So
do you have any professional training on dance with like dance training?
That's a very good question.
Or is it like self-taught mostly through videos?
Honestly,
and
like in the very beginning, it was self-taught. And then when I went to high school, we learned the whole ballet, jazz, contemporary, modern stuff.
Which high school did you go to?
St. Roch Catholic Secondary School.
And is that an art school?
Yeah, it's an art school. So it was a very new arts program at that time when I went. So there was only like 2 dance classes, and yeah, like it's hard to decipher like because there was this conversation about like being trained and being self-taught, you know, type thing. So like when I went into high school, I feel like I was at a level that was like at like an intermediate level at that time because what I was learning off into the internet would be considered an intermediate.
And at that point, you've been already doing it for a few years now, right?
So like when I first went to like my first dance studio, like Jay's Hip Hop Academy, where I met one of my best friends, like that was the first time I ever taken a dance class. But it was interesting because everyone in that class was already like, we were so focused, like we were like one of the best rec classes in that time, in my opinion, because that's what they were telling us too. But nice. When it comes to like training, that didn't come in until I was about 15 or 16 when I got a scholarship to dance at this thing called Step Up Dance Camp. That was run by this guy named Ambitious Anthony.
Ambitious Anthony?
Yeah.
Where is Toronto?
Yes. So this is my first like dive into Toronto. And
so you said this is called Step Up
Dance Camp.
Step Up Dance Camp? Okay.
So it was basically like full hip hop, which they will infuse other styles as well, but it looks this full hip hop, full training, and one of the like I guess artistic directors of the camp, he had a company called Ambitious Movement. So after the camp, he asked me to be part of his company, and then from there I was just kind of like, he kind of like showed me the like dance scene from there, like Toronto's dance scene. So like that's when I first started to do like Fever After Dark. You know, he showed me a lot about Bazaar and choreo ball. So
is this still on the program?
I don't think so. I feel like our year was like after my year there was like 2 other camps that occurred, and then after that it kind of stopped, which is unfortunate because it was honestly a really good camp.
Sounds like a great program.
No, it was like you meet a lot of cool people that are in the industry now. So it's like, you know, it's really important and really cool when you have spaces where you can really meet new people, because you never know where everybody's going to go. And a lot of people that I've actually met through that are doing really big things right now. So, yeah.
That's great. No, that's one of the things you mentioned, Kwasi, in the beginning, like you were a shy person, and through your dancing, you kind of opened up, like, I don't know if how you would describe it, 'cause I don't want to put words in your mouth, but would you say dance is a form of communication?
Oh, that's facts. That's facts.
Yeah.
I feel like when I started doing Afro, I started to really realize that the art form is communication. You are talking to people. You are having a conversation. One of this good friend, Zoe, she's from South Africa. She choreographed the Woman King, and she was telling me to battle at this thing in Montreal. And I was like
a dance battle?
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't really battle. Like, that's not really my thing. And she's
like a serve, like
yeah,
you got served.
You got served type. And she was just saying to me, like, don't think of it as you're battling the person. Think of it as you're having a conversation with that person. So you're just telling the person you're showing the person who you are. You're telling them who you are as well too. So it's like, when it comes to this stuff, because that's what I realize a lot when it comes to Afro, like, it's talking, it's communication. You do something, and then people are catching on to what it is you're doing, so then they follow along, and it's just like it creates a sense of unity and community amongst it. And that's one thing that I really enjoy when it comes to like being in spaces to just session and vibe, because it is it's a sense of communication amongst people, even if you can't speak the same language. Mm-hmm. That's the cool part that I love a lot about dance specifically. It's like you can really connect with people without having to speak the same language at all.
I've had this similar situation. I was a musician at one point in my life, and I remember like when I used to play music with strangers, that somebody I have never played music before, but we're looking at the same song, playing the same notes. Mm-hmm. It's just something that connects, right? You're like, oh, like, you just sit and you hear it and you look at them and they're looking at you too, even though you've never spoken. I don't even know the person's name. And then, but we're just like happy, smiling because we just connected through music.
It's a very important quality I feel like people need to understand, because like when you dance and you're in this thing for as a job, like you really do lose the aspect of the fact that it's about people and it's about community and it's about unity. Mm-hmm. Like we're so accustomed to going to rehearsals and then doing shows, and it's like when you perform, you're performing in front of people. There's a relationship between you and the audience. Mm-hmm. It's not just you. And it's not just you on that stage by yourself. There's also people around you. So it's like you have to be able to dance in unison and also dance in a way that the audience can also connect with it as well to convey anything or convey an emotion, really.
I just thought about something, Kwasi. What would the world look like if we couldn't speak? We don't have the power of speech. And the only way we can communicate with each other is through art.
Well, that's really how life was, if you think about it. Like
before we developed the communication power.
Let's be real. Like movement explains things so much. Like if I said to you, like I'm hungry, I can go like this. Like
true. You're right. Yeah.
Like it's funny how interesting art is. Like we are so valued so low, but we contribute so much to the way the world is right now.
Yeah.
Like you watch a Netflix show that has no English in it, but you're like, oh, I understand exactly what's going on.
Yeah, just from the body language.
Just from the body language.
It's frustrating. I have had this conversation with other artists about how art is being devalued in our society. We'll talk about that, but before I forget, I want to talk about also, we touched a little bit about you mentioned you were shy. So do you think an introvert can be, I don't know if you're an introvert, I'm asking you a question. Are you an introvert?
Yeah, I'm a balance of both.
Do you think a deep introvert can be a dancer?
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah?
Like, I meet people who can go on and display such amazing talent, but then come off and they're just like the quietest person. Like me, I'm quiet. You may see me as like very outgoing and like crazy and spontaneous, but in reality, I'm a very quiet to myself person.
I was gonna just say, when I see your performance, especially because I love the Afro dance that you do. I know you do a lot of different style, but yeah, when I see it, I'm like, man, it just brings out the passion in me. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go crazy.
But that's like for me, I look at like just catching spirit and catching the energy. Like yesterday, I was at the club, and like everything's just like all these lights are just in your face, and I am just dancing for myself, but it looks like I'm dancing for people. Like people are like hyping you up and all this stuff.
Yeah, because obviously you're a professional dancer. Yeah. I'm guessing if you go to a club, everyone's going to be around you. I'm like, yeah.
But it's like I'm just there just enjoying what it is I like to do so much. And it's ironic because I am an introvert. Like I'm someone who's like, let me just stay in my room. I'm gonna be quiet. I'll stay in my corner. But like for me, dance just opens a gateway because it's like it's like the movie Soul. It's like when you get into that area and you're just in your zone. You're just in your zone. Nothing matters to you. And it's like it makes people look at you and
Is it the flow state?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called, the flow state?
I think so.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's amazing. It's great. I think we should be very grateful that there's so many different vehicles we can use to be in the flow state. Because some people use dancing, some people use singing, some people use painting, right? Photography or anything. Like when I go to the gym or like I train jiu-jitsu, like I see people like who've been doing it for years, and when they're like on the ground, they're just like on a roll, like it's a complete. And then I talked to them afterward. They're like, yeah, I was just on a flow state, like it's very similar. That state is very similar. I think you can reach that state through different disciplines. Yeah, that's great. So anybody who is thinking about like I'm an introvert and I'm shy, so I don't know how to dance, just stop thinking that because look, Kwasi is a professional dancer, and according to him, he's shy and quiet person.
It takes a lot, like that's why like when you go to a class, especially when you're by yourself, like you don't want to like stand out or like because you're shy. If you're shy, like it's really hard for you to really like get out in that. It took me a very long time to be able to walk into a class and feel a little bit more confident in myself. Yeah. But I feel like one thing that I always say to myself whenever I feel nervous is like everybody has their own superpower, and it's like maybe just because you're in a space where you feel like you're lacking in something doesn't mean that you are lacking in something else. So it's like I can go and take a contemporary class and be completely terrible in it, but I know if I go to an Afro class, or if the room were to switch, where the people who are amazing at contemporary were switches, in an Afro class, they would probably be the same way I feel. So like I give myself compassion to know that like regardless of what spaces I'm in, I'm still good at what I do, but I'm just taking it as a moment to just learn and grow, and it takes a lot, to be honest.
No, absolutely. I'm a big fan of that mindset. I saw a meme recently where they talk about educational system in our society, and they had this like different animals. There was did you see that one? Yeah. There was like a fish, there was like a chicken, there was like a monkey, an elephant.
They're like, oh, you're all gonna take the same test.
Yeah, you have to climb the tree. Yeah. Because standardized test in school is like everyone gets the same test. Yeah. But everyone's talent is different, and everyone's way of learning is different. And it was just kind of like, this is so true. Because there's so many times in my life I'm good at certain things. And I'm also not a big fan of saying I'm not good at it. It's just like I don't put as much effort or time in it. So it's just, that makes complete sense. It's fascinating to me. So let's talk about like, what do you want to do with dancing? Like, what do you want? What's your ideal state of dancing looks like? Let's talk about like, what are you working on right now? And what do you think, how do you think the dancers should be valued, or art should be valued in general, if you want to go in general? Because you did mention that art is such as like, it's devalued, but it provides so much value in our society. Mm-hmm. But monetary wise, it's devalued as much, especially when you're just coming up. Why do you think that is? And what do you think should change?
It's hard to say, because it's like, okay, because like I say, from my perspective right now in this age, I feel like the overconsumption of things kind of dilutes things as well. So it's like when you have people who work so hard for their craft, and then you have people who kind of just do it for the minimalistic aspect of it, it makes people not value what it is that you do. So it's like I'm somebody who doesn't like, I'm not a big advocate of TikTok, even though it's like, there's people who are amazing dancers on TikTok, but like there's the aspect of like, people on TikTok dancing, they're doing the little 1 2 1 2, they're getting the 1 2 attention, more attention than people who are actually putting in the time and effort in the training to be great at what they do. So people will look at it and think, oh, I want dancers, for example, but they will go pick the people that are like minimal. They pick the people that don't really train in it. They don't pick those people because they don't want to pay the actual professionals their rate. So then people just start to go the cheaper route. And I feel like the value of quality goes down in that aspect because there's so much quantity. And everybody and their moms wants to be a dancer. So there was actually a time where like I would not say I'm a dancer. I would just say I'm...
Because it was just everyone is a dancer.
Yeah, so it's like, well, okay, so... Because everybody would put dancer in their bio, and I'm like, so then... If you're a dancer, you've been dancing for like 2 weeks. What am I? You know what I mean? Like,
how do you define a dancer?
Honestly, I will say anyone can be a dancer, but my definition of a dancer is somebody who's like... who takes it seriously, you know? Someone who values it very much so. You know, someone who relies... Not gonna say relies on it, but it's just like... You can tell when somebody is like a dancer because like you put in the effort for it. So it's like you're a photographer not because simply you take pictures, but because of the time and effort that you put into learn your craft. So
I thought about this, like, because people ask me that, like, how do you define a photographer? And I said like the definition in the industry of a photographer is anybody who takes a picture.
Yeah.
But a professional photographer is, because you add the monetary value, somebody who makes a living doing photography. That's a professional photographer.
Yeah.
Like, and obviously if you're a professional photographer, all the things that you mentioned, it comes with it.
Yeah.
Because he trained, he put effort and time for years and
I feel like
years.
the intention behind why you're doing something is what makes you that. So as a dancer, for me, like, my intention is to grow, to learn, to explore, to, you know, and like I rely on this to pay my bills as well. And it's like, I feel like when you have the right intent on why you want to dance, not just for the aspect of you want money and fame and glory, which would be nice, not gonna lie, but like just the aspect of like this is the life that you want to pick plays a big role, because there's a lot of sacrifices that you have to make in regards to being a dancer. You know, you don't get you can't work a regular 9 to 5 and then work as a dancer like full time, unless like you can find that balance. I haven't found that balance yet, but there's a lot of sacrifices and a lot of things that you have to mentally deal with so much that like it's hard when you see people who don't value, who don't appreciate the process of what it actually takes to become a professional. Kind of just like,
it's a lot of pain.
it's a lot.
It's
a lot
of
of emotional moments, a lot of you questioning why you're doing things, you know, a lot of imposter syndromes where like, you know, you're like, am I good enough? Am I capable? And it's like I wish people didn't have to go through things like that, but it's like going through that makes you value the process, makes you value the road that you're taking and just the journey itself, you know. And I feel like that's why when it comes to the value of art in general, it's like we can all dance, we can all take pictures, we can all do those things, but it's like the time and effort that you put into it is a very crucial and important thing.
How do you deal with imposter syndrome? You personally, I mean.
See, I'm an overthinker, so I write a lot. Like, I've gone to a place.
Journal? Like, what do you write?
Yeah, I journal.
Okay.
I journal. Like, I can't leave my house without a journal and a pen.
You have a journal with you right now?
Oh, it's in my car.
Oh.
I was going to bring it in, but I was like, I don't think that it would be appropriate right now to just like start writing things as I'm like talking on this.
That's a great quality. But continue. Yeah, so you write, that helps?
So I every day, like, or every moment really, I just write how I'm feeling. And it's like, I ask myself these questions. Why am I feeling this way? I ask myself like, why am I doing something? And then I'll just I just keep writing how my feelings go. If I'm sad, I'm angry, annoyed, frustrated. And like, sometimes I will read what I wrote the day before to see where I am the next day. Because I know every day is a new day, and things like, I can feel like caca today, and I know that tomorrow will be better just from how I see the world differently. But dealing with imposter syndrome, I just journal. and I ask myself questions, and I also talk to people too. Like ask them, like, what did you do? Because let's be honest, your experiences are everyone else's experiences too. You know, you're not the only person who actually went through it, and I feel like that's the beauty of having like a mentor or friends who are in the same spaces as you, because they're dealing with the same thing. But I guess one way that you could deal with imposter syndrome is really just do what you feel like you need to do and see how it goes, you know, like, because I always get caught in roadblocks, and like you're overthinking, but then sometimes you just have to simply just do and see where it goes.
Like act, like actually
just
make
act.
yeah.
And then like, because I've been in workshops where like we would have to just create a dance phrase. So like let's say 2 8 counts of a routine or something like that. And it's interesting how these choreographers will take whatever you created on your own and apply it in a way that complements another dancer and then another dancer, and all of a sudden you end up with this whole group routine from literally nothing. And I find that so fascinating. I try to like engage in that aspect too, where it's like you just simply do and you see how it goes, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you don't have to necessarily start from scratch. You can just reformulate a lot of new things. And I have to give a shout out to my friend Janice. Like when she was teaching at Studio North, she just did whatever she wanted to do. Like there wasn't the expectation of I need to make a really cool piece of choreography. I need to make it nice so people can see and want to come. She would just do whatever she wanted. And I feel like that opened my eyes to be like, just do whatever you want to do. Like if you end up doing the same move 4 times, then do the same move 4 times, but maybe see how you can do it differently in that aspect. So it's like just letting go of the expectations of what it's supposed to be and just letting it be what it is, and then going from there.
Nice. That's that's deep. What is your process like? Because you talked a little bit about your process. Let's say you were given a new routine, Kwasi. Like, how do you internalize how do you practice? Can you walk us like from step 1 to the end?
Well, the first thing is the intent of like what's the piece about. I always ask a million questions, and then I just continuously will drill the routine.
You're asking the questions, understand the essence of why it's being done. Can you give an example?
Like my mentor Esie, she works with intention. So it's like she will ask you, like let's say she was talking about like how do you show love. So like she would give you a routine, and then it's like do it in a way that you show love. So it's like the way you would do it is completely different from how you would be if you were to like show anger or something like that. So she helps put you into perspective. How can you take this movement and apply it in this intention, and it helps me understand the qualities of what I can do. Because the routine is the routine. You can learn the routine real anyway, right? But it's like how you display it and how you execute it is also the important aspect of it. So when you have the right intention to it, especially when you're working with somebody who's about intention and storytelling, it just makes it easier for you to understand. So I ask 1,010 questions, so everyone just know that one.
So do you know? So I'm guessing if you're, because that's great what you just mentioned, because it is a form of communication as we talked about. Do you find it hard to where do you find the balance between what the client wants and what you are trying to incorporate into it?
When it comes to
like if you're given a choreography, right, and they're like, this is what you got to do. Let's say, a hypothetical scenario. Somebody gave you a choreography. It's like a choreography that you can do, no problem. You don't really like the style of choreography that it's given, but it comes with a lot of money. Like, Kwasi, if you perform this, like, you get paid a certain amount, but you got to do this. How do you, I like, because I have had that a lot about my photography. I want you to take this picture, and I'm like, I don't want to take that picture. And then it comes with a lot of money. Not a lot of money, but adequate amount of money for photographers. So how do you reconcile that?
I feel like it's kind of different in the aspect of like if you're working with a choreographer, like you can pick and choose whether you want to work with the choreographer or not.
It's hard to say no when it comes with the money.
Yeah, like sometimes you just do it, but I think for me, I just always ask questions and try to have an understanding of what it is going. And
Yeah.
like you just, if it comes with a lot of money and you need money, you just do it, and then you just never do the experience ever again. But it's just you just try to find how it fits in you. Like there's times where like I will do a piece of choreography that feels awkward in my body.
Yeah.
So you just kind of just have to find. I try to find ways to make it
Somehow
personalize it in my way, and then we work with the other dancers as well, and you see like where's the common ground of where you can be.
What is your favorite dance memory?
My favorite dance memory right now, I can only think about the Pan Am Games closing ceremony. That was like
where was this?
This was at Air Canada Center.
Nice.
Is that what it's called? No.
Was this recently?
Was it? Wait, was it Rogers? No, it was Rogers Center. Sorry. This was like a long time ago. I think I was 16, so it must have been like 2014, I think.
Okay.
When the Pan American Games came.
Yeah.
Had all of the festivals and stuff, so they had auditions at the National Ballet of Canada studios, and my friend showing us this audition through a newspaper
Newspaper,
ad.
eh?
Yeah, so all three of us literally went to the audition, and like we all got it.
Nice.
Like it was so funny, but we got split up into different things. So my friend Zach, he got put into the opening of the para Pan Am Games.
Okay.
And then me and my friend Brooklyn were in the closing of the Pan Am. But then I got put into working with like Paul Becker and Mark Samuels for Dance with Sharina Ryder. So we were all in different areas, but like it's still in the same aspect. And like it was a good experience in my eyes, because like being at that age and like to me it looked like something so big. Like you get to dance with an artist, you're on this big stage, and it's literally like you and like 8 other people, and they're just looking at you. So it was just like it felt like you're on tour performing.
Nice.
And like the whole like parametrics and everything, and it's just like being so young, it was just like an amazing experience to be, because it's like, when are you gonna have this experience again?
Well, it is, even like when if you weren't young. I was gonna say this sounds like an amazing experience.
Yeah, because it's just like being that age and wanting to dance, and then you get like a little taste of like being on an actual stage and all this stuff happening. It's like you're like, okay, this thing is possible. Even though it was volunteer purposes, but
oh, it was voluntary. They didn't pay you?
You got free TTC, but
TTC.
During that time, Pan Am, like the city was just giving like people like these passes and stuff. So I'm like, I didn't utilize the TTC aspect of it, cause I didn't know that it was.
I still think you guys should have gotten paid. You can't pay someone with bus fares. Come on.
Hey man, gotta talk to your mayor while you're up and coming mayor, but like. Just that was one of my favorite memories.
Nice.
Just performing.
No, that sounds amazing. I guess it's kind of a nice segue, because we started talking about the mayor and the city. We talked about it a little bit before the podcast. How do you feel about being? Do you think you can reach your full potential being in Toronto, your hometown?
No. When it comes to, I personally say like. Cause I always use Toronto's my home, well technically Brampton, but Toronto, you're there. I think of it like it being at your house. Like, can you really become the person that you are at home? Like Toronto definitely creates a good, strong foundation, and like you are able to become somebody. But when it comes to reaching your full potential, you have to have the ability to leave and experience other things and see the world differently, and open your eyes to just the perspective of things that you are not accustomed to be able to come back and then be able to apply it. And in that aspect, it's like what do you do? It's like a bird when they kick the babies out of the nest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like if the baby is always in the nest, the baby is not going to be able to understand the world. It's not going to be able to fly. It's not going to be able to see things differently, right? So to reach your full potential, you definitely have to leave. Not saying you have to leave forever and never come back, but you have to be able to experience things outside of your environment at least once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times to really know that like things are capable. Because if I just stayed in Toronto, I wouldn't know like the craziness of how New York is. I wouldn't know like the beauty of African dance in Europe or even in Africa. Like you wouldn't be able to see like how much greater things are. Like when I started doing Afro, I thought Toronto was like the hot spot, like the only place that people were doing it, until I started to see videos of people in Europe. And I was like, oh, so Toronto's not even like,
Really?
Toronto's not even like halfway where Europe is right now.
Wow.
You know, and then you start seeing places in like Paris, Amsterdam. Then you start seeing places in Ghana, in Nigeria, and South Africa, and you realize that like there's a bigger environment out there, whereas like Canada is like it has it, but it's just very small. You know, like imagine being like a kid in a small town, you know, and there's a big city. You want to experience the big city, and I feel like that opened my eyes when I started to see. I'm like, oh, like Europe is actually like they have like conventions, they have camps, they have parties that are going off. Like, yo, Afro was big in Europe before it even came to North America. Like, you see Rema, you see Fireboy, you see Burna Boy so big now in the radio, but they were 10 times bigger in Europe before the North America even opened.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I believe that. I remember, do you watch that show, Top Boys?
Top Boys. I know it, but I don't watch it.
So I watched the show. It's good. Like, you know, but in season 1, I remember they played like Burna Boy, and season 1 came out like a long time ago, like 10, 15 years ago, I think.
Didn't the show get canceled?
Yeah, the show so the season 1 came out and they got canceled, and then Drake produced it again, and now he came back 5 years ago again, 5 or 6 years ago. But the first time when it came out, it was like mid 2000, and at the time, I heard like Burna Boy, and I was like, "Wow, this sounds amazing. Who is this?" You're right. Like, you know, at the time, this is like, you know, they were doing this back
like
then.
When you started hearing like in clubs people playing like Afrobeat, it was like, yo, this is going different now. Like people like they're actually playing. I remember my friend, he was at the Raptors parade, and he messaged. He's like, "Yo, guys, they're playing."
This is when they won the championship. Yeah.
He messaged. And he was like, "Oh, they're playing Afro beats down here. You guys need to come." And I'm just like, and it's an excitement because you're just like, yo, you know, you wouldn't have expected Afrobeat to become so popular and have it being played in like these areas where you wouldn't expect it. You expect like hip hop or like other things. But yeah, like to reach your full potential, you really have to experience the world around you.
No, amen to that. I'm a big proponent of traveling. Yeah, it just opens your mind to so many different things. Yeah. Anything you're practicing, any discipline, like, you know, travel and find new people who are doing it. No, this is great. What's the, what are you working on right now?
That's a good question. Honestly, I'm just working on myself and my mental state. I feel like that's very important. I feel like for me, I'm trying to figure out what it is I want and what it is I want to do. And like currently right now, I'm just trying to explore different things. Like last year, I was doing a lot of photo shoots because I wanted to like try something new and then see where it goes. But what I want to work on right now is I just want to like work on creating, choreographing. I want to do a lot of short films showcasing African dance. So like got to work with Fadi Soprano. I'm pretty sure it's right, but Fadi Soprano. He's an amazing director, and we got to shoot something around like an aspect, an idea that I have based on inspiration that he also has shot as well too. So that was really dope. Like it's just really just trying to spread and share this culture and kind of find a way to bring people in, because there's a lot of talented people in this city that love this style of dance, but it's just like they don't come through, and it's like trying to change the value of what you see. Like shout out to Esie Mensah, but like she inspires me a lot because she took a style of dance and didn't go the typical conventional route, but revamped it to the point where now you're teaching this style in relations to ballet. And it's like, who would have thought that this style of dance would be side by side with ballet dance?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
And by that, you mean Afro dance, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's not even like the traditional, but like the Afro-fusion aspect of it. It's like the way she goes about reinventing herself and reinventing the style and not just trying to go the typical route. Like, I'm inspired by that. So it's like, wanting to do a short film is because I want people to see who are watching this that this is a far greater than what you see on TikTok, but also inspire people in the short film to be like, this style of dance is just as capable as any other style of dance that you see.
Nice. That's actually that sounds like a great project, because me and Fahim were talking about doing a short film. So, I would love to collaborate with you.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, like, it's interesting how, like, people they have camera equipment, they have all these things, and it's like, the only thing you want to do is just, like, make a 10-second video. But it's like, you can make something greater that can travel far more. You know, I always thought about doing, like, a photography exhibit where it's like you just have different Afro dancers, and then you kind of give like a little blurb of who they are and like why they love this style of dance and like what version of African dance that they do, just to kind of show that like this art thing is an actual art thing, like we only, like right now, I'm such a hater of social media, but it's like right now we only see it on Instagram and on TikTok and on Snapchat. But it's like when you go to the AGO, you go to the ROM, you see like these art exhibits that are literally just pictures with a story that are conveying something. I saw one video where it was like this guy just doing dance. He was doing dance hall. And it was like literally no music, silent, and he was in slow motion just doing dance hall in the streets of, I forgot what streets it was. I don't think it was Jamaica, but it was somewhere in the Caribbean.
Without music?
Oh, music. So like when you walk into the AGO and like there's like those dark rooms of the video.
Yeah.
It was literally just this guy just dancing, and I'm like, that's so interesting to think that like this short video, like 30 seconds, is in an AGO exhibit, and it's like if we thought about the greater reach of what we do, you'd be surprised of where this could be, and it can make a career for you. But if your mindset is just stuck on like the same things of what you see and trying to be the same thing, then it doesn't really work,
Yeah, it's very important. That's one of the things I like about social media, because even if you're in Toronto, let's say you're unable to travel, you can still have exposure to what's going on outside of Canada. Those are definitely, social media counts with good and bad. I have my like hate and good, like love and hate relationship with social media too. What are some of the advice that you got when you were starting up that kind of stuck with you and then helped you?
I think the best advice that I ever got was know who you are.
But how do you know who you are?
How do you know you are? You gotta ask questions, and it's not even like you have to ask yourself some deep questions, but it's just like who are you? Like I would write down qualities of who I am, and I would ask people to like describe who I am to you. Like for me,
like I ask your close friends, like what do you think of me? And then
like, because if you don't know who you are, people are gonna take advantage of you. If you don't know what it is you want, people are gonna find ways to manipulate you as a person, in my opinion. So just really knowing who you are, figuring out what it is you like, figuring out what it is you want, even if it's just little baby steps, it's far greater to just do that, because like in this art world, like people are gonna make you question yourself a lot, and you're gonna make yourself question yourself a lot too. There's so much doubt that is being placed. There's so much frustration, anger. Like sometimes art, you don't really get support from it too. So you have to be your biggest supporter, right? So it's like really taking the time for yourself to really evaluate who you are, evaluate what you want, takes you far greater, because now no one can tell you what you are or who you are, because art, we sensitive as hell. Artists are sensitive, and it's like, you don't want to compromise your art so that you can just sell to people. Like you want your art to be a reflection of who you are, and for it to be a reflection of who you are, you need to ask yourself, who am I as a person, really?
That is a deep question, though. It's like, who am I as a person? I struggled with that a lot, but I As you said, I wrote down things and I asked people, especially people I can trust, like, what do you think of me? But no, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. What advice do you have for someone who wants to be a dancer? Like someone who's just starting, like, they want to be a dancer. What advice do you have for them? Outside of know who you are.
Go to class. If you are
Go to Kwasi's class.
If you, yes,
Shameful
when I
plug.
teach my one-off classes, my advice to somebody who wants to be a dancer, not know yourself, but I would say value what it is that you like in the style that you do. That's the first one, yeah, because we get so caught up wanting to do the typical norms of what everyone else is doing, and I feel like find comfort and love in the style that you do. Another advice I would say is find your people. Find the people that are going to inspire you, push you, that have the same ambitions as you, because when it comes to dance, we get so caught up. Well, not even just dance, but in art, we get so caught up wanting to be part of the crowds where you think, I want to be part of this group. It's like find your people that are on the same wavelength as you, because energy, hate saying that word, but energy is very important. If so if you have people who can match your energy and match your perception, that's really, really cool as well. Keep learning, keep finding ways to improve and inspire yourself. And one main thing is find a mentor. I feel like a mentor is a very important quality. Is it a quality to have, or very important asset? Because they're the person who's going to help you navigate your journey and help you ask questions. I always say that a mentor doesn't tell you what to do. They help guide you through the decisions that you make. So like my mentor, I have many mentors, but my main mentor, Esie, she's helped captivate and mold me into the person that I am, that I'm very grateful for, because she never tells me what to do. I do whatever I want. Right, but she will always ask me like the whys. How is this gonna help you? How is this gonna go for you? She puts me in the positions to be able to assist her, to be able to like take on jobs, and like explore and experience. And from those things, I ask myself the questions of like, okay, is this for me? Is this what I want to do? And whenever I have questions I need to ask, I ask her. So that's an important thing, because like I said, we always want to go to the next thing, the next popular thing that's popping off. But when you just stick with one person who sees value in you and sees your potential, you're gonna go far greater than jumping from teacher to teacher to teacher to teacher.
No, absolutely.
So it's hard to find a mentor, but when you find the person that really you connect and helps you grow and guide you, you go further than taking 1,000,000 classes as once. Someone said this to me in rehearsal once. It's like conversation will take you further in a rehearsal than actually dancing, because if you have a clear understanding of what's going on and what you want to create, then the actual rehearsal dancing aspect of it is a lot easier than when you're trying to formulate choreography based on an intention. If that made sense.
No, it does. Yeah, absolutely. That was deep. You answered all my questions, Kwasi. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you. Shout out to Ananse Club. That's all I gotta say. Shout out to my boy Tony. I want to say that to him.
Do these people have Instagram and website?
Yes. If you go on Instagram, you can type in Ananse Club. Ananse, I think it's Ananse.club.
We'll put it in the bottom of the website.
Put it in the bio. Shout out to my friend Premps, who teaches on Premp Wednesdays. My cousin Percy, the person that has kind of paved the way for me.
Nice.
In being able to do this style of dance and just dance in general. Planting Percy teaches at Studio North Mondays. Can't tell you the time. I think it's like 7:00. And then my sister, but not sister, Janice, teaches on Studio North on, I think, Thursdays as well. I have a lot of shout outs, so you might be here for a long minute.
No, it's all good. Do your shout outs, man. No. Do your shout outs.
Well, big thank you always to Esie Mensah for being the pioneer of Afro in the city and being a great source of inspiration and support. because, you know, like dance, for me, I question a lot. And it's so interesting because you question life too. And like, she's always been just someone who reminds me like, yo, this is possible. This is possible. So greatly appreciate her. Quentin Fersetti, the big artist man, sculpture, everything. There's a lot of people I can say right now. Hey, Rosie.
It's supposed to be like that. You're supposed to be inspired by a lot of people.
Like Lua Shayenne Dance Company. Ronald Taylor, Psychosis performance coming up. I don't know when you're posting this, but probably if it's after you missed the show, it was an amazing show. If you're hearing this before, come to the show 26th and 27th. But yeah, honestly, I'm very grateful for the people that I've met in my life, even if I haven't given all the shout outs. But like, I'm grateful to be able to be the person I am because of them. And I even give a shout out to my parents. I'll give them a shout out too, because low key, even though the relationship is kind of like, you know, I wouldn't be the person that I would be
without them.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like I try not to blame, because I do understand that life for you guys is different than
absolutely
than what it is here. You're raising an actual Canadian child. I'm the only one actually born in Canada compared to my whole family.
I remember had this conversation before. I'm glad you said you're Canadian because I think you're Canadian.
I am Canadian born, but I associate as a Ghanaian man because that's the household that I was raised in.
So someone asked you where you're from.
I say I'm from Ghana. Canada is like, in my opinion, Canada is like an airport where it just has a bunch of people coming in, and you know, everyone is from a different place. Like Canada's like that. It's like the intersection of the world.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, so it's like when people ask you where you're from, obviously, yeah, like, okay, you're born in Canada, but it's like, where are you actually from? We had this long debate. It's okay.
I think we both agree that it's an awesome airport.
Yes, it's an awesome airport. Support the arts in Toronto. Support every aspect of the art of all artists, because we contribute a lot.
Amen to that.
And it's interesting because I realize like we contribute a lot of emotional aspects of ourselves,
which is hard to quantify with money.
Yeah, you know. So it's like you're really putting your life into what you do. So it's like the money aspect may not be there, but there's a lot of value because you're getting an experience that people may not want to talk about or have been dealing with for a very long time. So it's like there definitely should be a greater appreciation for what artists do.
Absolutely. I want to tell you this story because you mentioned that. I did a family photo shoot with a family, and they have the picture of them, they printed and framed a picture of them. The father messaged me one time and saying, I had a really bad day at work, and I came home, and then I saw the picture that you took. It's on my living room. And then it made me cry. I just wanted to let you know that. So I was just like, it was just a family shoot. It wasn't like a crazy artistic, it was just a family photo shoot. It was just him and his, his kids and So going back to your answer, art, that's the value that art provides. That's
the value.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't quantify it, but it's like, that's what makes me love what I do. You know, like when I go and teach young kids and you see the joy in their faces, it's like, yeah, I may not have a lot of money, but it's like that experience itself is just far greater than anything you can buy because you are impacting someone's life. You know, you wish we can money that, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, here's to...
You cried? Okay, that's an extra like $500.
My art made you cry. That's $500.
But yeah, like intention, art... It's just all about what you are able to leave in people's hearts at the very end of the day, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Changing people's lives and their experiences.
Yeah, here's to impacting others' life. Mm-hmm. Thank you again, Kwasi.
Always. This is Kwasi Obeng with Shaq on the Toronto Creative Art Podcast.
Yes, we'll put all the links that Kwasi mentioned at the bottom of our YouTube link and Instagram. Peace out.